Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypnotic coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you want to know more about my professional work, and I hope you do, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. While you're there, you can also sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, and there's lots of other material on the website which you're welcome to help yourself to. Well, today I want to talk about something that really bothers me, and I suspect it bothers you as well. All the people who don't want to do their jobs. Now, this comes to mind right now because our government here in the United States is in imminent danger of a shutdown because the people in Congress whose job it is to keep the government running are not able to do that. They're too busy fighting symbolic prestige battles and culture wars with each other rather than doing their job. You go into a retail store and ask an employee for assistance. This happened to me recently at a drugstore where I needed to buy some razor blades. In this particular store, they're stored in a plexiglass cabinet to deter shoplifters, and you have to go find a store employee who has the key to open the box so you can get the product out and take it to the register. Should be a simple transaction, right? Well, think again. What followed was a 10-minute search for a staff member who was on the floor. Then they had to go find the key, and all the time the staff member was communicating nonverbally that they obviously thought they were doing me a huge favor by opening the box so I could get the razor blades I wanted to buy. They made it clear that I was really upsetting their mellow by asking them to help me retrieve a product I wanted to buy in the store that employed them. I got a look, I got a verbal, yeah. For goodness sake, dude, do your damn job. You're not doing me a personal favor, you're just doing the job you're paid for. Now, I get that a lot of employees are in situations where they're not treated well. And I am deeply sympathetic to the theme some have called quiet quitting, where you do your job and then stop. You don't put in extra effort to go above and beyond because the reality of our world is that when managers say it's to your benefit to really shine, mostly that is BS. They simply want you to do work that they don't have to pay for. I get that. Now, it's been years since I've done hospital consulting, but I used to. I would be hired to go into a hospital unit that was having a problem and figure out what was going wrong. Well, one of the first things I would say to the employees is stop volunteering time. Do your job. Do your job well. But when your job is done, stop. Don't work uncompensated overtime. Don't come in on your own time on your day off to help out and so on. Because if the people working the unit are doing more work than they're paid to do, management quickly loses the information about how many full-time equivalent units it takes to run the hospital department properly. The staff mean well, they want to help out, they want to go the extra mile for the patients, but the result is they corrupt the data set and management soon no longer knows what appropriate staffing should be. And on the flip side, the over-functioning staff members burn out, become resentful, morale crashes, complaints get spoken, and basically things go to hell. So don't do that. Here's my rule. Do your job. Do your job well. And once you've done your job, stop. Now, this issue is everywhere. I just reviewed a report from my denomination about parish ministry. Now, it's been a long time since I have been in parish ministry, but I did do it for 13 years before completing my training and moving into the work I do now. The report recounts that parish ministers are leaving the profession in droves, to the point where there is now a serious shortage. The reason so many have left? Well, churches found themselves running on financial fumes. Instead of adjusting to what they could pay for, they put staff under political and psychological pressure to do uncompensated work. Well, if you really love ministry, you wouldn't complain. The report actually recounts conversations that denominational staff had with lay leaders, where the lay leaders expressed surprise that parish ministers even care about what they're getting paid. Well, if they're really called, they would do the work just for the love of the calling. Well, you get the picture, because that quickly becomes highly abusive. And even the most sincere individual who feels themselves called to an occupation that they truly love doesn't necessarily agree to be victimized. So, for those who want to police themselves so they're not over-functioning, good for you, because that's the only way reform will happen. If you let people take advantage of you, trust me, they will. But that's very different from people like the sales clerk at the drugstore who don't want to have to be bothered to open a display case to sell a product, even though doing that is their job. Now, I don't know about the inner life of the employees in that store, and I suppose it's possible that management was abusive and employees were exploited, and the attitude projected by the salesperson was what I used to see in the hospital. Overworked and exploited people who became hostile and de-energized. But if so, the only cure is a twofold one, and it applies to all such situations. First, don't let yourself be exploited. No job is worth that. And if enough people set limits, things will change. Management will only do that if they get away with it. Second, do the job you're paid for and do it well. Then stop, because that is how you also stop exploitation. Now, I'm sure we all have versions of stories like this. The server at the restaurant who was too busy talking to their friends to get the food to the table while it was still hot, who brought the starter and the main course at the same time because that was easier for them, or who got the order wrong and argued when asked to correct it. That's not over-functioning. That's just failing to do the job. And I believe it's a sign of serious cultural decline that too many people lack the personal integrity to do the job well. The modern Stoic philosopher Ryan Holiday tells a story about the Emperor Hadrian, Emperor of Rome, who died in 138 Common Era. Hadrian was one of what classical historian Niccolo Machiavelli called the five good emperors in his book Discourses on Livy, published in 1531. Here's the story that Holiday tells. Quote, "The Emperor Hadrian's life sometimes felt, as it does for all leaders, like an endless demand for favors. Letters came from across the empire asking for this and that. The Senate, the courts, his own family. Everybody always seemed to need something. Naturally, he struggled under this burden and tried to create barriers and boundaries so he could do his job and maintain some level of sanity amid all the requests. Once on an imperial tour in some distant province, a woman darted out from the crowd and blocked his path, asking for help with some now forgotten issue. Hadrian tried to put her off. "I haven't got the time," he said, attempting to move past her. "Well, stop being emperor, then," the woman shouted after him. Hadrian paused, turned back, and helped her. And that's the thing. Do not overfunction. Don't let people exploit you. Do your job, do it with pride, then stop in order to protect yourself from abuse, but never fail to do the job well, like Hadrian did when he turned back and helped the woman who needed help. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. You're invited. It does help me if you let others know about my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. And if I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out. Have a great week.